Hi everybody, welcome back to Julia in the Garden. Today's video is on my garden goals for the 2022 gardening year. I do have the baby with me and there's a toddler around as well as some bigger kids, and so there may be some ambient noise in this video. Let's go ahead. I have 10 goals I want to share with you for the year. Number 1 is regular maintenance. So this is especially weeding and some watering. I had a watering schedule set up for last year, but I didn't end up needing it because we got plenty of rain, and that is always my hope that that will happen. But just in case it doesn't, I'm also going to set up a watering schedule for as it is needed this year. Also, when you first put plants in, it's a good idea. But weeding especially is tough for me, and I'm going to do my best, and I think I'm going to set up a zone schedule, much like Laura and Aaron have on Garden Answer. I might link to one of their videos on their zones. I think it's a really good idea. I mean, our property is fairly large, but I don't think I have quite as many garden beds as they do, although mine get a lot of grass in them, so they seem like they might need more weeding. So that's my hope, to just stay on top of it a little bit more regularly so it just doesn't get quite as out of control, because it ends up just, again, getting out of control, and then it takes me a lot more time to dig out a bed. And if I stay more on top of it, hopefully that won't happen, and hopefully my plants will have more of a chance to thrive. Goal number 2 is really a fun goal for me. It is make a flower bouquet a week, or as many weeks as I can throughout the season. I really enjoyed, like, even just going out and harvesting my cut flowers last year. It was very meditative for me. I also enjoyed making the bouquets, so I want to do more of that. Did you like it too? Yeah? My little buddy helped me a lot of the time while I was out there. So I want to do more of that. I want to explore and learn more how to make bouquets. And I also want to, I just want to see where my gaps are as far as throughout the season. When do I get those first blooms? Do they continue? Do I have a gap in there? And would I need more things like fillers or supporting flowers, things like that. I'm growing quite a few different floral, both flowers and hopefully things that will be, supporting and foliage and some ephemeral is not the right word, sparkle at the end. So yeah, I'll try to bring you along with me a bit. So that's one of my fun goals. Hopefully a bouquet a week through the season, and I would like during the height of the season to be making a bunch of bouquets to give away to friends and family as well. So that's my goal, one a week. Goal number 3 is to do better regularly preserving the harvest and using it for that matter. So I had some issues with my storage abilities last year, and it didn't do the best I could with that. So I do need to improve my storage abilities, but I think somewhat inevitably by the end of the season, the stuff piles up, and especially zucchini. I'm gonna call out zucchini, and it's, hard to stay on top of. And so I think if I get on, especially the second half of the season, really, a more regular schedule of preserving things, I think that would be really helpful. So that is goal number 3. So those first 3 goals were my habit goals. The rest are what I'm calling project goals. They're not all necessarily projects, but things that kind of can be done, not all at once, but it's just one big thing. So hopefully that'll make sense as we go. So goal number 4 is to plant the potager in a timely manner. So this is specifically for me this spring. Last year I had a baby, so it was totally reasonable, but things got in a lot later than I would have wanted them to get in. And I knew that was going to happen, so it was all perfectly fine, but I would like it in earlier this year. So I tentatively set myself a goal of June 1st for getting all of those first. So this isn't counting any succession crops, but to get all of those crops in. Again, my last average frost is May 12th, and so it will depend on what's happening with the weather, obviously. But if, our last average frost is around when the average is, then I have those 2 weeks there, and should be able to get it all in, hopefully, within those 2 weeks. There might be some exceptions for the peppers and the eggplants that like to go in a little warm, and again, like I said, any succession sowings. But I want the majority of my potager either transplanted or direct sown by June 1st this year. Goal number 5, now this really is a big project, and that is my rose garden. Basically, in the middle of my berry garden, that big open space there is going to be roses. I'm hoping to make a circle with pea gravel and a table inside, and there's shrub roses, and then trellises with climbing roses. I ordered some David Austin bare root roses that will be coming this spring, and I'm so excited about it. So I'm going to do my best to film how I put it all together. I'm going to dig out the beds and do the whole thing, planting the roses. And if any of you have suggestions for protecting roses from any deer, because we do occasionally get deer coming through and I don't want to eat my roses. So if any of you have any suggestions, please let me know. But that's goal number 5 this year, to put in the rose garden. And basically I'm putting in the bones of it, and I'm hoping to also add some annuals this year. And I'm sure I will add to it. And I'm sure I will add to it over the years. Goal number 6 is the front of the house beds. So there are garden beds that were here when we moved in, pretty much all around the house, not completely, but they all kind of need to be revamped. I haven't done anything since we moved in. Especially, I think if you've watched some of my prior videos, you may have noticed we talk about our front entryway. There are geraniums and salvia in perennial, in alternating along our front walkway, and they are gorgeous for about a month every year. And last year I even tried cutting them back, but then when you cut them back, they're all like, it doesn't look good then, and then we didn't get much of a second flush, maybe like a tiny bit, and so it didn't really feel worth it to me. And so I am putting different things in there, including some evergreen structure, which will be great because it's winter for half the year here, or at least cold for half the year. And yeah, and then hopefully, and I'm also, well, and I will get more into the details of that in another video, but I'm really excited about this project. Yes. Goal number 7 is to fill up my orchard and herb fairy beds. So last year, the herb fairy beds especially were pretty empty. I didn't get as much planted in there as I had intended to. And there were also a lot of weedy spots in the orchard. And my hope is that if I can fill them with both more perennials, but mostly annuals probably this year, and hopefully mostly ones I can start from seed, then they will outcompete the weeds, is my hope. Or at least by the end of the season, give me a little break from the gigantic weeds. So I'm hoping like things like zinnias and cosmos that, you know, I'm going to start inside, or I could direct sow, and then obviously lots and lots of herbs in the herb fairy bed, but probably also some flowers as well. Goal number 8 includes some building projects for me. So I have been intending to build a bench for my potager. You will have seen that in my potager plan video. And also the gates. And I did build the gates last year, but they broke. So I'm trying to fix them and make some new ones. There's one that completely broke. So I'm gonna make a new one and fix some of the ones that are still mostly together. And so hopefully those will go up in the spring. Hopefully the bench will be done for the spring. And then sometime this season, I also would like to build a bridge. So again, I've mentioned this in prior videos, but there's a little ditch, I guess. It's a drainage ditch. And it goes right between where our solar canopy and orchard beds are, and then where the herb fairy beds and the children's play area is, and that goes up to a hanger pad. One day I'm hoping to make that into a more intentional looking stream bed, but I really do need a bridge over it, especially in the early spring. It's a problem. Or in the winter even, for that matter. Like there just gets like there's icy water, and then at times during the year when we get a lot of rain, it does get really muddy and soggy, and sometimes there is running water through it. It's also just part of my design plan of having a bridge over and then the elders flanking it on either sides. Goal number 9 is fall cleanup. Every year I intend to do more fall cleanup, and so again, it's another goal. I end up in the spring, especially in the potager, of just like having so much to prep for spring beds. And that's one of the big reasons that a lot of my stuff got in late this last year, was I just didn't have it prepped. I do like to leave some perennials out, especially, you know, out in the orchard, and even some of my annuals. Like I'll leave the zinnias and stuff up until spring and then just cut them back. But it would be nice to have, especially the cool weather beds, but then things like my squash and tomatoes I should have cut back in the fall and I didn't. So I'm gonna have to take care of all that this spring, and that is why my goal is to clean up better in the fall. Ideally, I'd also be putting down a layer of compost and mulch on a lot of my beds to help build the soil over the winter. So yes, part of my goal for the fall cleanup. Goal number 10, my final goal, is a really fun one. So it is to have at least one garden party. And that is because I think gardens should be to be shared. That is why I have this garden, is to share it, to share the flowers and the food and just the atmosphere of it all. I got some lights to put up under our solar canopies, like some string lights and some solar lanterns. And I want to make things from the garden, have fun in the garden with friends and family. And so my goal is at least one party. I love to celebrate the season, so ideally in my mind I would have, a midsummer party and then a fall harvest party and some more times in between of inviting friends and family over and enjoying together. So that is my goal number 10, at least one garden party this year. What do you think? Are you ready to work in the garden this year? Are you going to work in the garden with Mommy? Yeah? Okay. So those are our garden goals for 2022, and we'll see if they let me accomplish them and how the year goes. You never know what kind of obstacles, Mother Nature, the weather, and everything is gonna throw in, but there's always something delightful that happens as well. So join me for the journey by subscribing. Check out this video here if you have not already. And until next time, happy gardening, friends. You say bye? Hey, look this way. Say bye. He's 9 months. He doesn't say bye yet, but he makes lots of noise. There you go. Yeah.